Newton Buteraba, House of Wealth. I think it's also important to let the people here know that House of Wealth is a company that helps people on their journey to make, grow, and keep money. But it wouldn't have been possible for me to set up House of Wealth without the strongest of backgrounds, without the greatest of nurturing, without the profound, intense, and immense care and guidance I received from Enterprise Uganda for all my time when I had returned from studies in the UK. So I can see very many people who were my bosses, who are actually still my bosses from Enterprise Uganda. I saw Madame Rosemary. I see Ronald Mukasa. Please send my regards to the whole Enterprise Uganda team. We usually say that once you're Enterprise Uganda, you are always Enterprise Uganda. So I got the nuance of the knack of skill, which I learned from Enterprise Uganda, and I coupled that with my experience. So today I feel very privileged, like Moses was in Exodus 3:11, when he said, "Who am I?" Because God found Moses and he told him, "You be the one to go to Egypt and deliver my people." But Moses, seeing himself, he couldn't speak. He wasn't a great individual. He told God, "Who am I?" So even me, when I see the people here and I hear you, Belinda, say that this is the very last series in the year, I ask myself, who am I that I would deserve to lead the people into the new year? Moreover, on the note that they have to start strong. So the key issue we're discussing is how to start strong. You need to understand the theme to the theme or the headline or the heading to be able to gather the thoughts on how we are going to move in this conversation. When we say how to start strong, there is a presumption in there that probably we shall end, or we are ending, or we have a continuance in the ending, that 2023 will provide a time to start or actually restart. Now, most of the people I've interacted with, every year I interact with over 1,500 individuals, like face-to-face, 1,500 individuals face-to-face. They do all sorts of businesses. Some are into fish farming, others into export, others into schools, others are into bakery, others are into salons, all sorts of business. But just know I meet over 1,500 entrepreneurs face-to-face, and we are talking business. And for some reason, this year, everyone I have met has a semblance or an element of tears, the loss of hope, the idea that maybe there is no light at the end of the tunnel. And I keep on telling them that what you're going through, you should actually be lucky you're going through it now. Elsewhere, it's a disaster. So I keep on encouraging people that elsewhere, it's a disaster. In any case, everyone on this call now, I need to let you know that you're not the first person to go through this. If you look at what happened in Genesis 6:6, God was facing the same struggle. You know, God had created mankind and God loved mankind, but he had created mankind to worship him, to praise him. But God looked at mankind being homosexuals and gay. God looked at mankind not being obedient. And God was at crossroads. He was at a roundabout. What do I do? So in In Genesis 6, God calls up Noah and tells him, I'm going to restart. I have to bring a flood, kill everything, and restart. So if God had made a plan and the plan turned out to be that disastrous, that he chose to restart, you as his creature, you have no option. I mean, it's not new to creatures that we would start or restart. So I want to encourage you by letting you know that if 2023 is a year where you're going to have to go into a new business, where you're going to have to rehire new employees, where you're going to have to go into, you might even change country, you might change very many things in your life, which I might not know, which Belinda might not know, which Enterprise Uganda might not know. But I want to tell you that you're doing the right thing, and it's not new that you are going through it. Everyone else, very many people have gone through it. I try to do a scale up and a checking of what's happening in the world today, as of today. So did you know that over 150,000 companies, 150,000 companies in the United States alone temporarily closed, and many fully closed, are fully closed after COVID. Now, 150,000 companies in US, it is so huge. But let me just pick out one company called JCPenney. JCPenney was a department store. Like you see these shops. Now, this is a mega shop. It had 667 stores across 49 states in the US, and it closed. That's US. If you moved to Asia, you go to China, the company called Evergrande. Evergrande was like the biggest real estate in China. If they tell you the biggest real estate in China, we are talking about the biggest of the biggest. China has over 1 billion people, and we are talking about a company that is providing real estate, constructing going in the sky for people to sleep, for people to stay. Now, Evergrande was in debt for over 300 billion US dollars. It closed shop. If it had a debt of 300 billion US dollars, that's 10 times the size of Uganda's GDP. And they had to close. So Evergrande was 10 times bigger than Uganda in cash, in money, but they had to close. If you went to Europe, right now in the UK, one of the largest banks is called HSBC. They're closing 114 branches across the United Kingdom. 114 branches across the United Kingdom. And they will do that by 2023 in April. Now come to Uganda. We had a hula baloo when one big TV station just said 200 employees should leave. One TV station, one of the big employers saying 200 employees should leave. And people said all different sorts of things on social media. But I want to tell you that what is going on world over will come to your wallet. There is no excuse. It's going to come to your wallet. How do I know? Because even the government, as we talk now, is struggling. Did you know that this thing they call the merger, where we are having 69 government agencies merge, where they tell you that UNRWA is going back to Ministry of Works. We are going to have brothers lose jobs. From the merger, just the merger, 69 agencies. You can now go and check out. The government is the biggest employer. Of course, it will come up with efficiency and all that. But what is going to happen to the different ways? Recently, there was a letter that was circulating. It was from Nakaseke District. Nakaseke District local government was informing its employees that they received wage funds which were 1.3 billion in deficit. And this is Nakaseke. Now in Uganda, you have very many districts. Ask yourself, how many other districts have not come out to relay the information that they also received funds in deficit? So we are going to have people who might actually, because Nakaseke district is asking people to be patient. So when they tell people to be patient, it means they are not firing them. So they will stay with their jobs, but without access to any cash. And it will be a ripple-down effect on all of us who depend on these people. Remember, the government is the biggest, largest single employer, the biggest, largest single funder. The government is the guy in the room who has the money. And in parliament, the government wants to go and borrow from money lenders, notwithstanding the interest. They want to go and borrow from money lenders. They are struggling with cash. The districts are struggling with the money. It is going to fall like a dominoes until our homes. Now in Uganda, we have a saying that bw'olaba embwa egoba ow'ekiwempe gw'ow'eddiba tosala. Literally translated, the moment you see a dog chasing a person with a papyrus, that papyrus mat, it means you who is holding a hide or a skin, you can't cross. So I want you to read what is happening with the government, who is the largest employer, largest funder, largest big individual, and you see the effect it's going to have on us. Between 2007, 2008, and 2009, I was one of the youngest people running a money lending company on Johnson Street in the middle of the city. But I did not read the trend. 2007, the credit crunch had mentioned its presence in the US, and it escalated to Europe. But most of us in Uganda, we did not read that. We kept on doing business as usual. So in 2008, when the credit crunch hit, the housing bubble, the effects came up to our very doors. You could see the credit crunch in your saucepan, where you could cook, but you lacked oil. You could see the credit crunch on your dining table, where you had bread without Blue Band. It just proliferated through the whole entire continent, and it moved to us. So as a money lender, I did not read the trend. I just kept on lending without security, lending on checks, giving people adjustments and all that. Then by 2010, no one was paying. People in government jobs, people were contracted, no one was paying. So I hit rock bottom. I lost a lot of money. If you wanted to know, I almost wanted to commit suicide because of what had happened. I was very young. I had very many partners who had brought on money on board, but I couldn't pay them. No one had cash. Luckily today, for me, now I know when I see and I smell, disaster, it comes from elsewhere. We have a war in Ukraine. It has raised prices. We have all these things coming. They must come and end up in our wallets. So I'm not a prophet of doom. And actually, this whole entire deliberation is not about scaring you and making you say, we are really badly off. I wanted to give you that background and then share with you a few things I think you could actually use to start strong in 2023. Newton Buteraba, House of Wealth, and I've just started. You need to know a few things. Number one, can you please identify your simple wins in 2022? That's the very first thing. What have you done well in 2022? The problem with mankind is, as a people, we lack ways and metrics on how to judge self. We actually can't judge ourselves. What we do is we open our window and look at the neighbor. We just walk into the next office to look at how things are with our workmates. We just look at the next business to see how they are faring. We never do simple metrics for ourselves, our families, and our businesses. Now, I'm not asking you to discontinue or disconsider your environment, but I want you to take stock of self. What have you done well? Ever since they mentioned COVID to this very day, what have you done well? Because everything that you've done well will give you a good start in 2023. And that's how it starts. And that's how very simple it is. What have you done well? It could be health-wise. Maybe you survived contracting COVID, you survived contracting HIV, you survived contracting hepatitis B. It could be health-wise. What did you do well? If you actually kept yourself well health-wise, you're already winning. Because as we talk now, people are committing suicide. If you've been watching Ellen DeGeneres, her DJ on that show, Ellen DeGeneres show, a very, very good show. The guy who was called Boss, his nickname was Twitch. He killed himself. 40 years old, killed himself. People are shooting themselves. People are walking through the train to kill themselves. So if you've stayed healthy, it's a win. But people never realize that staying healthy, it's a win. Right now, there is someone looking for a kidney transplant, a heart transplant. People are going through brain tumors. You've not visited the Cancer Institute. People are going through all these sorts of things. It means if you're in crisp health, you're winning. You don't even have to go to school to get that certificate. You're winning as long as you're still alive and you're doing well. Mentally, you could be in a great mental state. They released the results and they said Ugandans, 14 million, are disgruntled mentally. They are not performing well mentally. So if you still have your mental faculties and you do not get that angry very fast, you're not fighting, you still have your mental faculties in control. You're winning, and you need to know that that is what will help you in 2023. Financially, maybe you were able to save. Maybe you were able to invest. Maybe you were not able to save and invest, but you stayed on the line and you have no debt. But you know that's a hard paper. Debt is a hard paper for Ugandans. But if you are on 0 shillings, but you don't owe anyone money and you're not asking for anyone money, you're still winning. Because on the number line, minus 100 is less than 0. You didn't even know that, did you? On the number line, when you put minus 100 and you put 0, 0 is greater than minus 100, minus 200, minus 300, minus 1 million. If someone is 200 million in debt and their net worth is minus 200 million, their net worth is minus 100, but you are on 0, you owe no one money, you're beating all these people before you even go on 1,000 shillings. You get the idea, and you read that in The Art of the Deal. It must have been Donald Trump who said that one day he was going to renegotiate for the restructuring of his loan, and he met a guy who was selling newspapers by the roadside. The guy wasn't a billionaire. He was selling newspapers by the roadside, but the guy was at 0 in Donald Trump's eyes. He was at 0. But Donald Trump was almost $1 billion in debt. He was admiring the newspaper seller. Now pick lessons from that. He's moving to a bank to renegotiate, to restructure his loan, minus $1 billion in debt. But he's admiring a newspaper seller, because to him, the newspaper seller is not struggling with this. And I'm not telling you to aim low, but I'm trying to help you reconnect, regather, reconfigure self and in the mind to be able to start off strong. It could even be spiritual. You could even be winning spiritually. There are guys who have resorted to say that God is no longer working. How about I go to a shrine and help self out? If you're still strong in your belief system, whether Muslim or Christian, you're still winning. And it's going to help you start off strong in 2023. So I want you to identify wins. What have you done well in 2022? It could have been that you've been able to make a few sales. You've been able to get new clients. You've been able to have some few happy clients. I want to tell you today that repeat business is the best business. I'll repeat that. Repeat business is the best business. Every single year, I sell over 100 plots of land. I have 40,000 followers on Facebook. But I realize that I need only 1% of my 40,000 followers on Facebook. That's 400 people. So if I'm able to sell one plot to 400 people every year, that's all I need. I don't need all these very many people. Repeat business is best business. If you have 10 clients, there are clients I have, every estate I open, they just say, if you open a new estate, you let me know. If you open a new estate, you let me know. So you can have 10 clients who are giving you repeat business, such that you do not have to break into new markets. You do not have to have these new meetings with new clients. And I'm not saying it's bad to open up new markets, new branches, or new anything. I'm letting you know that repeat business is what you should start with. Start with repeat business. That calls for knowing what you've been doing well this year to be able to go into the new year. So check yourselves. Have you been selling well? Have you marketed well? Check your HR. You might not be doing a lot. You might not be doing well, but you have an encouraged team. Your team of people at your workplace, your team of people in your company who are actually in spirits to work with you, and they're telling you, you know what, boss, we will persevere, we will push through. So you're doing well in HR. Other companies, people are putting in resignations, they are fights. So you might be doing well in HR. You might be doing well in operations, in the way things are. You might be doing bad in finances, but you're doing well in operations. So look at what you've been doing well. Are you doing well in operations? Are you doing well in HR? Are you doing well in sales or marketing? What are you doing well? What you are doing well now, we must make sure in 2023, we push through with it. We must push through with it. The other thing, what have you done poorly? Simple things. There is a group, I think it is the Enterprise Uganda group. They shared a message. Someone posted about a lady who was asking Einstein, one of the greatest scientists of all time, retired in the US as a professor at Princeton University. And a student was perplexed and asked Professor Einstein, when the student read the question paper and the exam, the questions were similar to the exams of the previous year. So the student came to Professor Einstein and said, Professor, how come you've set the same questions as the previous year? And the professor said, Yes, they are the same questions as the previous year, but you realize they require new answers. So 2023 will be asking you the same questions as 2022, as 2019, as 2017, as 2012. 2023 won't be a different year. It will be asking the same questions. They will be asking you, have you saved? Have you invested? Have you dealt with the people who did not pay you last year? Those are the same questions. Have you tried to do repeat business? Same questions. But you will need to be giving those questions different answers. Different answers. In 2007, 2008, 2009, I was lending on checks. So in 2022, 2021, when the same question paper was presented, how are you lending? I was like, ahead. This time I'm lending on security. Because do not underestimate the power of a Ugandan to put up a show. But in any case, a Ugandan is not the first person to put up a show. You will go and read Mark 11:12. Jesus was feeling so hungry. And when Jesus is feeling hungry, this is the Son of God feeling hungry. He said, let me walk towards this fig tree, because the fig tree had put on leaves. You know, when a fig tree puts on leaves, it puts up a semblance that it has figs. So Jesus is looking through the leaves, and he cannot see a single fig. Jesus was so terrified. He felt shambles, and he said, cursed are you. The tree had to die from the roots up. And he said, no one will ever eat from you. How? I think he must have been asking himself, how does a tree fool him? But at University of London, that's where we pick our motto. Esse quam videri. To be rather than to seem. Why am I bringing this to you? I want to connect it to what I told you, that don't underestimate Ugandans when it comes to putting up a show that they actually have money when they do not have any money. Many Ugandans are like that fig tree. A Ugandan will run the whole entire function, introduction on a loan. A Ugandan will buy a brand new car on a loan. So they can put up this show that actually things are well, and you will deal with them. You will lend them without security. You, instead of saying, leave me your logbook, they'll say, only 5 million. I have to leave you my logbook. 5 million, that's very little money. Hey, help me with 1 million. So they will be taking 1 million from you without security, 5 million from you without security. Very many Ugandans are still even giving friends 15 million without security. You're not reading the times. There is a price to pay for not reading the times. John 15:19. It is referenced as Romans 12:2. Do not conform to the patterns of this world. Instead, be transformed by seeking new things. So I want to promise you, friends, that the people we are surrounded with might put up a show which you might follow blindly, thinking people are doing well, and you also kujoga. You hold up a party that expensive. Where you put up a brand, you give yourself a brand new car. We are in the times where you have to read the environment, where you have to read. Did you know that when the tsunami hit, very few animals died? When the tsunami hit, very few animals died. Why? Because animals have a connection God gave them with disaster. Animals can sense an earthquake as it comes. Animals have that. I wonder whether it's a sixth sense. Someone is saying, can you repeat the verse of Romans? It's 12:2. Romans 12:2. John 15:19 and Romans 12:2. They are telling us not to be like the world. Do not conform to the world. The world is buying brand new expensive cars on loans. Do not conform to the world. It's okay to take a border. It's okay to be in a taxi. It's okay to walk a certain distance. Every time I take a border, I usually check my bank balance in my hand. And I'm usually amazed, it's like a miracle, that when I take a border from my office at Budu House to another place, and I check my bank balance, it stays the same. What a miracle. Border never changed my bank balance. So start having this, start having the same feeling. You get, start doing things that are in line with what you anticipate. I'm telling you, animals, very few animals died in the tsunami disaster because they sensed. So when you are in 2022 and you want to start strong, you must visualize 2023. Very many people won't have jobs. Very many people won't have money. Very many people will be distraught. So you sense that and you walk in 2023 with a mind that is sharpened. So what else can we do? There is something I usually thank Enterprise Uganda for. Enterprise Uganda introduced me to a Harvard Business School course called ETW. And I learned on it, graduated on it, and then became a trainer on it. But in that course, there is something I actually learned that has moved me throughout all these disastrous days. There is something they actually call a power map. And there are 3 circles which are drawn inside each other. So you draw one circle, you draw another circle, you draw a third circle. So those 3 circles represent what we call a power map. The strongest power a human being can ever have is called control. The second strongest power a human being can ever have is called influence. The third strongest power a human being can ever have is called environment. And I will repeat them for all purposes and intent for your better understanding. There is something called a power map. I learned it on the Harvard Business course. It was brought by the UN and it was given to me by Enterprise Uganda free of charge. I still feel I owe my life to Enterprise Uganda in this business of being a speaker and a trainer and a business person. That power map changed the way I see things. I want to promise you, whomsoever is on this call, that those 3 powers are the way you must start seeing life. They are things you can actually control. They are things you can never control but can influence. Then there are things you can never control, you can never influence, but they are just the environment. And in the environment, you just pray to God, oh God, please, please help me. And when I was trying to understand the forms of power, it gave me a chance to really understand why Uganda, the most blessed country when it comes to the environment, we cannot do agriculture like Israel which happens to be surrounded by enemies and in a desert semblance. I want you to be thinking. I hope you're with me. I've been speaking for the last how many minutes? Maybe 43? But I want you to be with me on this. That Uganda, we are on latitude 0. I usually joke with people, and I mean what I say when I tell people that God created Uganda first. When you look at the world map, we are on latitude 0. We must have been created first. I was speaking to my mom in the States. They are struggling with the coldness of the cold. My clients in Canada, my clients in Sweden, they are struggling with the coldness of the cold. My clients in Russia can't even speak. They're in a disaster when it comes to weather. But in this country, where you can give a border guy 10 kilos of beans to deliver to your home, and just 3 seeds of beans fall in on the way. 3 seeds. You give them 1 week and those seeds will germinate. No weeding, no fertilizer, no nothing. Those 3 seeds that fall on the way, as the border guy is delivering the maize, as he's delivering the beans, they will germinate. They won't germinate in Britain. They will struggle to germinate in US. They will struggle to germinate in Israel. But Israel has influenced the weather. In Uganda, we are on Inshallah and God help me when we plant our maize, when we rear our cattle. We do not influence these things. That's why if it's not too dry this season, next season it will be too rainy. If it's not too dry and too rainy, then there might be a pest with a locust or armyworm that will disorganize. And that's how we are living. So I want you to be looking at your life. What can you control? You won't lie to me, the 93 people on this call, you won't lie to me that you can control inflation. You can't. You have no chance. You can't control the recession. You can't even stop the war in Ukraine. You can't even call the Saudis to change the price of fuel. You have no control about the fuel, about the recession. But what you can control is the money in your wallet. What are you doing with it? What you can control is what you're doing with your business. What are you doing with it? So you must have a list of things you can control. And those you make sure you control because you own the switch. You control the amount of kilograms you will put on between now and 2023. Why are you just eating anyhow? You control your life. It is you in control between now and 2023, whether you cross over with HIV. It's in your control. I mean, they are not piercing us anyhow. When I enter the hospital, no one is coming towards me with an injection. It must be me and my overindulgence and failure to use protection or abstinence that I will ensure that the person of me will cross over with hepatitis B in 2023. That I'm in control. What have you done with the things you can control? What have you done with the things you can influence? This might be the only country where people individually feel they can change the country and the leadership thereof. So they vent the anger on Twitter, vent the anger on Facebook, vent the anger in WhatsApp, and stop there. Individually, people feel they can control their affairs. What did the Musevenis do? They realized they could not individually change affairs in 1980. So they formed a group. They called themselves the 27, and they went to the bush. Now, I do not want you to go to the bush. And this, it's a shame that it has actually gone to the political nuance. But I want to tell you, you might be able to convince a few of your friends to actually save together. You might not be able. Right now, I'm selling land in Matuga. I'm opening the estate in 2023. I have 100 plots, and every plot will be sold at 25 million. You might not be able to buy the plot now individually. You might not. After all, you could be having those savings and they're not coming through. If you saved 1 million shilling every month, you are in the 1 percentile of Ugandans able to do that. But it's going to be hard because 1 million shillings saved every month will be 12 a year. You will need 2 years to come buy that plot of land from me, which I'm selling in Matuga. And by the time you come in those 2 years, the land won't be 25 million, it will be 35 million. So individually, you might struggle. How about now we join into groups and investment clubs to fight now as a group? In my free time, actually, I no longer have free time because now I went back to do law, and I'm now always into books. But every time I get some little time, very little time, I'm watching the animal world, Nat Geo. I love animals and I love learning from animals. Hyenas cannot run. They never will. Hyenas use their strength. They know that their strength will come from knowing where the animals can run. The animals that can run are. That is the first strength of a hyena. They know cheetahs can run. So the strength of a hyena is to first smell where cheetahs might be and go hang in there. Then they wait when the cheetah has prey and come and fight a cheetah to take the prey. That's the strength of a hyena. So what can you do with your strength, and how are you in control with your strength? The things you cannot control, make sure in 2023 they take less of your time. Work in groups. Hyenas work in groups. A crocodile uses its strength. What is its strength? The ability. The crocodile's strength is not in maybe grasping at the prey. The strength is being underwater for time enough to drown anything it has grabbed. So when a crocodile grabs anything, it goes underwater such that the thing it has grabbed drowns. That's playing from the strength. If your strength was marketing, market better than before. If your strength was in handling cash, make sure you utilize your strength. If your strength was talking to people and handling those employees well, do that. So use the group effort to save. When you save in a group, you'll be able to buy land, which means an investment. When you save in a group, did you actually know that one of the things that helps Israelites or Jews to be so strong in business, it's because when they are lending to each other, they do not put interest. When they are lending to elsewhere, they are putting interest. What could be wrong with you finding your old boys, with you finding your fellow business partners who can be trustworthy? They could be 3, they could be 2, they could be 4. And you say, you know what? Starting next year, let's be putting some money there, such that when we want to borrow, we lend each other at 1% per month. We do not have to always walk to the bank, such that we leave our kids, such that we leave cars, such that we do not have to. So group effort. I want to encourage you to go into a group effort. And this is my last thing. In Proverbs 6, 9 to 10. Solomon, the wisest man, is saying that you go to the ant. It has no leader, it has no ruler, but it saves food for the winter. He went to the ant. He asks us, Solomon is telling us the ant is the wisest of the wise. You see, we call Solomon wise, but for him, he considers ants the wisest of the wise. He says they have no leader. They have no strength. They're frail. But they save food for the winter. But they continue on. That's Proverbs 6:6. So I want you to read from Proverbs 6 to 10. They continue to say, which is the message I want to leave with you, that how long will you stay in the slumber? A little sleep, a little folding of the hands, and poverty will knock on your door like a thief. And need will come to you like an angry lion. The key things they have mentioned is a little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands. Now, it so follows that the Bible is telling us that sleeping is the cause of poverty. Now, let's understand it literally, that if you sleep, you might be fired. If you sleep and you wake up late, you might miss on the interview. But now let's gather the strength to abstract. Let's analyze this better. Did you know that actually entering 2023 without knowing where to buy from at a cheaper price is sleep? Did you know that entering 2023 without knowing the things which took most of your money in 2022 is sleep? We are abstracting. We are pushing our brain to Burj Khalifa. Burj Khalifa, tallest building. We are now raising the bar. Did you know that having very many contacts in your phone and answering the WhatsApps takes a lot of your time? If you did not know that, it is sleep. I have 7,000 contacts in my phone, in this phone, and I have 4,000 contacts in this other phone. So in total, I have 11,000 contacts in my phone. Today is 15th of December. I'm still replying messages for people who wished me a happy birthday on 2nd December. That's replying messages 13 days later. And every message I reply, I thank, I'm appreciative, I am sorry for the late response, and I wish people blessings. But I did not allow all the, what can I say? Like everyone who wished me a happy birthday, 1,800 messages, I wouldn't reply all of them in a day. We have very many people who do that because now phones are the new thieves of time. How are you using your time as we go into 2023? So I want to leave you with the Quranic verse. It is the last verse in Surah Al-Baqarah. That's chapter 2, verse 286. And it is saying that Allah will not burden any soul with anything that soul can't handle. The Quranic verse, and I really relate to it. Allah will not burden any soul with tasks, with things they can't handle. So whatever you're going through this whole entire period, it is actually nothing you can't handle. If you have a belief system, So I've said that because there is a client who came to my office and we were talking. During the good times, I had helped him, and he had opened up 8 electronic shops. Through the advice, through the experiences, he had opened 8 electronic shops, like 2 in Kawempe, 1 in Gayaza, 1 in Nachifuma, 1 in Mperere, 1 in Kalere, 8 electronic shops. And he was making sales of like 18 to 20 million every single day. And then the other day, he calls me and tells me, Newton, things are really bad. The 8 shops that I used to report to you that were making 20 million in a single day, we now close a day with 800,000 total sales, all shops. 800,000 total sales, all shops. So as we were thinking through on what he has to do, we are closing up some shops, we are maintaining some employees. These are the true things that are going to happen. Very many people here won't make adjustments. They won't fire any employees. They won't close any branches. They are waiting to drown till they say they are actually dead. You're going to have to make changes in 2023. You read, you read very many things I've told you, but very many interesting stories I've shared. Remember, God even had to let go of Adam. He loved him so much, but he had to let him go. So you need to know, what are you going to let, what might you let go in 2023 such that you do not continue with the disaster? You will need that. Newton Buteraba, House of Wealth. I would like to hand over to you, Belinda. And I would like to thank you very much for being a great listener.
Oh my God. And we have 96 people on the call. What a session, Newton. I'm listening to you for the first time. I don't know how I've missed you through the network. Thank you very much for such a reflective and deeply thought out message, and very nicely woven, very deeply grounded, and very generous that you have given us today. And I will invite, we have, it's 10 and we have another maybe 29 minutes. Newton has talked about very interesting things this morning. And the takeaways for me is that we need to, Newton, you should do for us a simple matrix on how we can assess ourselves. I think we are ready to buy it. Yeah, please prepare a matrix for us that we can use to assess ourselves. So our simple wins in 2022, take stock of ourselves, especially our health. I have personally struggled with my health this year, and I'm grateful that I'm actually here and able to host the show. So that is very good, taking stock of our simple wins. And I'm also thinking that I like what you said about repeat business being the best business. And I think Ugandans, we are quite loyal. The people we visit during the enterprise, our business health checks, say that their customers stay with them, and that is because they are doing something that is great, right? And then the world will ask us the same questions every year, but it will require different answers. That was profound, okay? And the fact that you linked it to that verse of do not be conformed to the standards of this world. And yes, that what you shared about animals and how they respond to disaster is so true. You know, when a plane is going to land into a place, the dogs run. I don't know how they're able to detect that, but it is quite amazing. The Power Map is an amazing tool. And also thank you so much for wrapping it up asking us that it's better we work in groups so that group efforts will be able to take us forward. Thank you very much, Newton. I cannot thank you enough. If I could speak my local language, I would do that on my knees, but this has been an amazing, amazing way to wrap up our business recovery series for 2023. Thanks to Enterprise Uganda, and everyone is so appreciative on the call. Who has a question, guys? Newton is a busy man. He doesn't even, it takes days to respond to his birthday messages. Now he's here for the next couple of minutes. So ask him a question. So let's have Kaduyu Abdallah. Please switch on your mic and ask him a question. Kaduyu Abdallah, please ask your question. Your hand is up.
I see.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Newton is a very busy man, but I would like to appreciate his time and the deliberations he has really given to us. I would like to thank also Enterprise Uganda for this series. Now, Newton, there is a lot of noise in this world, a lot of noise, a lot of distractions, and we really find it hard to focus on the things we intend to do. I don't know whether you really have a strategy. As you have said, you always waste a lot of time on WhatsApp and find it hard to focus even for only 30 minutes on the things we decide to do. Could you be having a strategy that you use to focus on the things you really decide upon to do? Thank you so much.
Belinda, how do you want me to do? Can I answer him immediately, then wait for another question?
Yeah, since you don't have people queuing up, you can respond to that question in the meantime, while others either put up their hands or type their questions in the chat. So let's take that. Let's take that.
Thank you, Abdallah, and I'd like to thank you, Belinda. When you were giving your remarks, you were so kind. You are the motivational speaker. I want to answer. He has made a question, and it has a semblance of what I taught in the power of focus. I actually did not know how to focus personally, because everyone who knows me knows my phone never leaves my hand. I keep on talking to my clients because all my clients, 99.7% of my clients are abroad. Right now, as we speak, I serve Ugandans in 87 countries worldwide. So all Ugandans who are abroad in the diaspora many of them are my clients. So they are usually asking me at different time zones. But I learned focus from the animal kingdom. And I got to learn about the cat family. You see, a cheetah is the fastest animal on the ground. It's not the fastest animal ever created. The falcon is faster than a cheetah. But because the falcon is always in the air, on the ground, on the terrain, we consider the cheetah the fastest. Now, what does the cheetah do to be able to focus when it is seeing over 100 zebras? I want you to know that I went further in learning and I understood this fact. You see, a zebra is black and white. God created zebras black and white as a defensive mechanism. When zebras are many, when they're in a group, they are all black and white. So when they try to run, that color of black and white, black and white, black and white disorganizes every cheetah or cat animal that is trying to chase them. You read about epilepsy and how very many lights affect the epileptic people such that they get these seizures. So animals which are trying to chase cheetahs, when they keep on seeing the black and white, they are perplexed in their mind. So what does a cheetah do to focus? when a cheetah sees very many zebras herding, it looks at only one zebra and locks in. So when it starts the chase, it is chasing only one zebra. A cheetah never chases all the zebras such that it grabs one. It chases that particular zebra until it gets it, that particular zebra. So when it comes to us as human beings, we've been created as sophisticated beings. I'm usually amazed by women. A woman can be breastfeeding while preparing a meal and also answering the phone, and she can coordinate. Her brain is that strong. Now, human beings can multitask. But if you want to focus, I want you to list the things you want to do and prioritize those things according to how they enrich your life and work accordingly. When I left Enterprise Uganda, I went and I worked for Americans. So I was working for Americans. The American, we were reporting to the American embassy, and we were reporting to a very big firm in the US. They give you a lot of money as a salary. They give you a car. They give you fuel, full tank all the time. They even give you a driver. But the moment you say you want to take the car in the field, there is a form you fill, and the form must show cause to what the journey is going to contribute to the project or program. So you cannot say that we are going, for example, I was based in Masindi. I was leading the whole entire Western region. So they gave me Masindi, Bushenyi, and all that. But if I were to leave Masindi to go to Bushenyi, it does not only end at me showcasing that I will go with my driver, with the car, with fuel tank, and then per diem or anything. At the very end, I had to show that when we go and reach Bushenyi, I expect to reach out to 200 youth with the training, and these 200 youth will lower the project goal, which is to find 350,000 youth. If I do not showcase that, the car doesn't leave. So we need to start moving in our lives with purposes and intent to be able to focus. Do not go into a week, into a month, into a year without a goal. For example, I know I must sell 100 plots of land next year. 100. How do I do it? I make sure that that is the goal. 100 plots of land next year. How do I do it? I must make sure that everything I do, if I'm on WhatsApp, I ask myself, is this person asking about land prices or land location? If they're talking about, let's go on it, let's go do this, I will talk to them, but later. The focus is on who is asking about land price, land location, send me videos, send me Google Pin. Those are the people that consume most of the time. That's why you see today is 15th, but I'm still replying people who said happy birthday. Do you get the idea? I'm still replying people who said happy birthday. On 2nd, I could have replied all of them by now, but because the happy birthday did not ask, where is the land located? How much is the price of land? Can you send me a video? It is in queue to be replied, but later. I hope that answers your question. Have a goal. Let everything be working towards that goal of achievement. If it's financial, if it's health, if it's spiritual, if it's anything. Over to you, Billy. Thank you.
Oh, wow. So yes, a lot of thought needs to be put into this. You mentioned about the noise that we experience every day, noise from even the office. Even our environment has a lot of noise. Sometimes friends call me from abroad and ask me, how is Kampala? I tell them, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know what's happening in Kampala because my mind is focused on something bigger. Like you said, I put my whole environment in that other circle of things that I cannot control.
And
Newton, you're very
that question, and that question, how is Kampala, can last for 2 hours.
Yeah, you're right about that.
Yes.
You're right about that.
Exactly. So I charge people when I talk to them. I've been charging 100,000 for 1 hour. But right now, because by next year I will have improved in my law because I'm now having legal knowledge. So by next year I might charge 200,000 for 1 hour. If anyone put me if we conversated with anyone for 1 hour and I did not charge, it means I fall back on the money. And if I did it with 5 people a day, I would lose out on 1 million shillings in speech. So people need to be, you set your goal. It could be financial, it could be health-wise, it could be spiritual, but be walking towards. Over to you, Belinda.
Yeah, and we teach people how to treat us. Now I know I just can't call you for a chit chat. Great, guys. We have Soul's tab. Yes, Soul, your hand is up. Please ask your question.
Yes, thank you. And thank you, moderator, and thank you, Newton. Newton, while you are taking us through, you mentioned the 3 powers. I'm so much interested in those 3 powers. Can you kindly go through them again? And then do we organize retreats? You well understand that most times after such a talk, people will walk away and keep procrastinating about setting up goals, and in the end they forget. I wish we could have a retreat for like-minded people, where people go and sit down, think about what they want to do next year. By doing that, what you've said will not go to waste. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. So we are going to take one more question. Who has a question for Newton? He'll answer Saul's question. And okay, we have a gentleman in the chat who is asking, as a man in my early 30s trying to establish myself, things like building a house, kindly help me how I can maneuver vis-a-vis the daily hustles. Well, Newton will see how that question will be answered. I'm giving an opportunity to just one person, or else I'll ask my question. Okay, so we'll take Saul's question. And Newton, my question to you is, I know you touched on the bit that when you're going through something, it's very good to remember that you are not the only person. It sounds very cliche. I want you to talk to business people who are here. I know you talked about the knock-on effect of global challenges into our wallets, but there's that whole aspect of you looking at the person next to you and you realize maybe they have better plans than yours, the whole thing of comparison. I want you to share more of your knowledge on how do we rest in the fact that, one, like you said, God will not give us a challenge that we cannot handle. And then number 2, that just like we expect growth in our businesses, there'll also be some low moments, and we need to learn to appreciate those so that we can come full circle. Yeah, that we don't grow on just the good times, but you also grow even through the pains. I would like you to do a nice wrap up for us, encouraging us that when challenges come, we need to stay the course. Thank you, Newton.
Thank you very much. I would like to thank all the people who have asked very interesting questions. There is Saul, who said someone also said they're 30-year-old and they're trying to struggle through building Did I get that name? Belinda,
The
did you
person
catch
who
the
asked
name?
about the building is called Kenneth Wepondi.
Okay,
Mhm.
all right. Now, here we are. I didn't, I think, give people a disclaimer that I'm not a panacea. It's not possible that I might have all the answers in the world, but the experiences I have, I'll share with you, and it's up to you. Usually when I'm sharing, it's like a buffet. I give people a chance to only maybe gravy or salads or chicken, whatever you want to pick. Now, Saul, you wanted a recap. You wanted me to reiterate the powers. I told you there are 3 powers which I learned from that Harvard Business School course. Control as the first power, influence as the second power, and environment as the third power. Now, control is when you are the one with the switch. You switch on and you're the one to switch off. Influence is when you're not the one with the switch. Someone else has the switch. So you have to influence that person to handle the switch for you. I have been following the president of this country, and I think he's highly an intelligent individual in how he runs the power map. The things he can control, he controls. The things he can't control, which must run through the parliament, he influences the parliament. He uses the power, the second power of influence. He does not go into environment. Environment when you do not have the power. So you're on Inshallah, Mukama Nyamba. The president does not go through prayer or environment to ask, to pray for parliament to change for him the things he wants. No, he doesn't. He uses the second power, which is influence. And where he has control, he runs the show. So you can pick lessons from that. The people who have learned the power map are astute business people. Where I am now, you do not know how many people come to me every day to partner with them or to ask me to invest in their ventures. But I just ask myself, do I have control? For example, someone comes to me and is like, Newton, a pharmacy is a good business. I'm like, okay, Newton, put some money in my pharmacy. I will be giving you ABC. So I ask myself, what control do I have in the pharmacy? If I do not have shares in the company, it means I won't be able to decide. If I'm not the majority shareholder at that company, it means I won't be able to decide. They might decide things I can't control. So I've lost the power, the strongest form of power, which is control. Now I go on influence. How can I influence this person? When I talk to them, when I convince them, when I talk to them, do they buy into my ideas? If they do not buy into my ideas very easily, then it means I cannot influence them. Then it means I will get all my money, invest in the family, and then spend all the time in church. Oh God, help this pharmacy sell. Oh God, help this pharmacy. Let them know that I'm an investor who needs his money. Oh Lord. So I no longer do that. When I used to lend money, I never used to have control and influence. People would give me checks. But I realized that when I lend money and the person leaves me their car, their logbook, I'm in control of the vehicle. Because I have ever lent someone money who, on realizing that they can no longer get money to pay, they drove the car across the border, sold off the car probably. So when do you have control is when you have the switch of on and off. Now, that's why I related it to agriculture. I told you that very many Ugandans are into agriculture, but they are not controlling the weather. They are not controlling the prices. They are not influencing the pests. They are not influencing the prices. Every agriculturalist we have Most of them lack irrigation, they lack stores, they lack all this bargaining power. So they are on inshallah. That's why you see they struggle. And that's why, for me, I can't do all those businesses where I do not have control and influence. You could use it for all other things. You could actually use the power map in your family. Can you control your wife, or can you influence her? If you can't control her, you can't control your spouse, you can't influence them, then you're on prayer. Oh, God help me such that he does not cheat on me. Things like that. So I think I've explained the power map. You also mentioned about a retreat where you said after this, it might go to West and what, but I want to promise you that in Mark chapter 14, verse 6 to 7, we have an interesting story of a lady who was a prostitute. She came to Jesus with one of the most expensive perfumes at the time, and she smeared Jesus's feet with the perfume. Now, the disciples asked Jesus, and they were up in arms with the woman. They were actually angry with Jesus. They asked Jesus, why didn't we sell this perfume and look after the needy? And Jesus said, the poor will always be amongst you. I want you to mark that verse. The poor will always be amongst us. So this thing was spread out. It was put. It is actually free. I never do talks for free, but Enterprise Uganda has made sure people have this for free. But you see, we are 45 million people. We are 80 now. So it means all efforts, even if we try, the poor will be always amongst us. They will never turn up. These talks where we are talking money, where we are talking change, people won't turn up. So make sure you jump the divide and you cross over to always ensuring that you are in the other side, because the poor will always be there. Hosea 4:6, my people are perished for lack of knowledge. People hate these things. But if we said we are going to have someone undress, we will break this internet. So I think Saul, I've tried to answer you. Enterprise Uganda can always organize a retreat. They organize GW. I think very many people went, but even if they organize GW, it's free entrance. They bring great speakers, but still people do not turn up in the numbers, or in what in English we call in droves. So someone said, someone called Kenneth said, they're 30 years old, they're building a house, and I think they could be struggling building a house. There are two things actually happening. He's doing a great thing. He's doing a great thing, but he could also be doing a mistake. And I'm going to repeat it. He could be doing a mistake, but it's a good thing. As I have grown, I made 39 on 2nd December. I realized that the best time to make all the mistakes in the world is from 0 to 35. You have to make sure from 0 to 35, you've made all the mistakes, such that 36, you're clearing the mistakes. The world is a very cruel place. The world only place where they will give you a retake in the exam until you're 90 or till death. They will give you a retake. This world is a very cruel place. If you do not understand women, they will always give you the exam for women. You will marry and divorce. They will bring another exam in another woman and another woman. If you've not understood men and what you want from men, the world will always give you the exam for men. It will be titled men, and you will struggle with men till we say, Amaze miri muje. So you have to make sure you learn very many things. Now, why have I brought this? Because Proverbs 24:27 Proverbs 24:27. This is what Solomon said, that organize your outside work, then after build a home. I'll repeat it for your nuances. Organize your outside work, then after construct a home. So I usually ask people who are building houses, that is your outside work, they mean business, is your business running well? Have you organized your sources of income well? Because I told you that I'll be the first Ugandan to ask the Katikiro to add a proverb I came up with in the Uganda parlance. Tossa sente mutulo nga tonnakola sente ng'oli mutulo. I'll repeat it. Tossa sente mutulo nga tonnakola sente ng'oli mutulo. Literal translation. Do not put money in sleep before you earn or make money while sleeping. Let me break it down for elucidation. I do not expect you to construct a house where you will sleep in before you actually earn money while you are asleep. Imagine you had a rental. Imagine you had a boda. Imagine you had Uber. If your Uber works at night while you are asleep, and Uber brings in money while you are asleep, then it means you've reached a level where now you can go and put money in sleep. You can think of constructing a home. Why? Constructing a home doesn't make us any money. It actually, and I'm going to say this without fear of contradiction and on my own volition, I can discuss this with anyone on the face of the earth. A home does not actually save us money when we construct. When you construct a home, what you've done is you've paid rent in advance. When you construct a home worth 100 million, what you've done is you've paid rent in advance. I want to encourage you to go through the baby steps, the simple steps of starting small. By starting small, we mean you can rent. It's actually okay to rent. Let me give you an example. Stanbic Bank, the country's biggest bank by asset. It has over 3 trillion Ugandan shillings in assets. If you do not know a trillion, that is 1 and 12 zeros. That is the largest bank in this country. It is still renting. They are renting. It's a trillionaire. It is renting. You're not a trillionaire. You're not a billionaire. You might not be a multi-millionaire. You could be a thousandaire. You hate the landlord. So let's go through the baby steps. If you wanted to actually construct, you could buy land and relax, such that you prepare to build later, because later land will be very expensive. So you buy now and you relax. This house where I am, I bought the land in 2013, actually 2014, that's like 8 years ago. I'm in the house, I'm still counting. It's not over. When I came here, I didn't have a gate. I was constructing at my goddamn pace. You could do the same. I'm not saying what works for me would work for you, but I've told you that because I've been in the money venture since 1993. I've been exposed to money since 1993. It has left me, it has come back. It has left me, it has come back. So I can only be an authority on what has left me and come back. That's what I know. And I'll tell you, if you were planning to construct, maybe you could buy land now and wait later and be renting, because a home will be taking money. And most Ugandans do not build shelters. They want to solve a shelter problem, but they build homes, very expensive tiles, very expensive finishing, very expensive roofing. In their 30s, with no amount of money, so reorganize and recalibrate. So Belinda, you asked me to mention, to go over, like when we say you are not alone going through this, very many other people are going through that. It sounds like a chorus, and because it's a chorus, people never take it for real. They're like, maybe it's just patting our shoulders to encourage us. You know, motivational speakers always just encourage us. But I want to tell you this, and I'm going to pick it from a festive season we are going for. We are going for Christmas. But you know, I'm going to give you the events of Christmas such that you can pick on how you will spend your Christmas. Christmas is all about love and sharing and friends and all that. Jesus was born in a crowd. Let's start from there. No expensive hotel. Jesus was born in a crowd. The midwife who helped Mary give birth, I think she was called Salome, or Salome for that matter. She wasn't paid. The service was what in Latin we call pro bono, free of charge. The parents of Jesus, while they were there, the gifts were brought by the three wise men. So there was no medical bill, there was no lodging bill, there was no hospital or midwifery bill, and Joseph is not on record for having borrowed to effect the birth of Christ. But look at us. We are going to purport to celebrate Christ on a loan. Why? Why are you going to borrow to celebrate Christ? I've told you, the guys who brought Christ did not borrow, and they did not. It's not any. You will correct me if I'm wrong. And I've read in English we use the word exegesis. Exegesis is when you read the text back and forth and you flip it and you check it in another language. I've done an exegesis of the events that brought Jesus on this planet. No hospital bill, no midwifery bill, no lodging bill, no single loan. But people are going to borrow. People are going to spend expensively on the event. In my view, little knowledge view, for me it would be a disaster. That's why I'm asking people that what will help you in 2023 is that list of habits. And you say, 2022, I was overspending. 2023, I'll try not to overspend. I have not been on any burial where someone died and because they saved money. I haven't buried that person. Maybe you'll be the first. That they saved money, that money was on their account, and they tried to respect it by not overspending it. And lo and behold, we have to bury them. No one. That's why I'm telling you, everything I do that people despise, I usually work with my bank account. If they call me in a business meeting and I do not have to drive and I have to sit on board, I check my bank account such that I see whether my money will actually change when I reach. So you do not have to buy the expensive phone. You do not have to buy the expensive car. You do not have to be in a posh apartment. You do not have to be in a very expensive neighborhood. You do not have to. Very many people look at their friends. Maybe that's the life you love. But let me tell you this. Did you know that you can admire me and maybe the life I want and the life I'm having? Then I die tomorrow. So if you admired me and you wanted me, probably you would admire to die younger. The people we are admiring are having struggles. People are having struggles. You see, when someone is having prostate, it's in the underwear. And I'm saying that because you saw that president of Southern Sudan who was standing and he went to the toilet while standing. Did you see that? It was all over social media. The president of Southern Sudan, urine went through his suit up to the shoes. We all saw it. So he is a president. Everyone would want to be a president. If you wanted to, if there is anything you want to be, and they tell you, can we give you a country that is rich in oil like Southern Sudan? You say, give it to me. But the person who is having that position, the person you are admiring, who controls the army, who was dressed in a suit, he must be struggling with prostate. And we saw it evidently. I could even remove my glasses to tell you we saw it with our own eyes, that the urine passed through His Excellency. So ask yourself, the people you're comparing with, are you going to like their whole entire package? It will only follow that you will only like a few things. So like some things about people and pick those few things. If your friend has constructed a very nice house, admire the house, see the house and tell yourself, when I get the house, I think I will do something different. Don't be put into pressure. We are not, by the way, let me tell you this, Belinda and friends. The reason we can never be, we are going in different directions. Completely different directions. That's why none of us is better than the other. And we can never be. Saul can't be better than me. And I can't be better than Saul. I can't even be ahead of Saul. Muanguzi, Arthur, Godfrey, Miriam, Milton, Martin, Naebare Olive, James, you guys can't be better than me and I can't be better than you because we are going in completely different directions. If someone is going to Jinja and another one is going to Masaka, how would you then say that the person in Jinja is ahead of the person going in Masaka to Masaka? Different directions. We shall die. We might share a birthday, but we can't die on the same day. Go and check. We might share a birthday, but we can't die on the same day. We might even share parents, but we can't die on the same day. We are going in different directions. You read 1 Samuel 17. 1 Samuel 17 says, we are moving in steps. David killed a bear and he said he thought it was over. The next challenge he had was to kill a lion. He killed a lion. He thought it was over. The next challenge he had was to fight Goliath. He killed Goliath. He thought it was over. The next challenge he had was to fight Saul, the king. He did away with Saul. He thought it was over, yet he was going to be the leader of Israel. Now Israel has a war every microsecond. So you need to start putting it in your head that the challenges we have on face of earth will come immediately every time we solve a certain challenge. When you finish P4, they're waiting for you with exams in P5. When you finish P7, they are waiting for you with exams in senior one. And I'm talking about school because I know about school. Right now, I'm in my third year law school. But when I finish third year, fourth year is waiting. When I finish fourth year, LDC is waiting. When I finish LDC, a master's is waiting. When I finish my master's, the field is waiting. When I finish the field, the court is waiting to disorganize me and bring all this. That's why it is not even in the tiniest of thoughts that I can harbor an iota of thinking for my thought process that I can compare myself to anyone, because we are in different lanes. I might admire you and you die tomorrow. I might start chasing you, buying your car like the car you bought for you. You've been buying your car on your loans. So I would leave you with the verse. I want you to go and read Jonah. I think you read Jonah, the whole entire verse. Jonah had been sent to Nineveh to make a good message, to deliver a good message. But Jonah, because he was stubborn, he did not go. And Jonah instead took a ship to another direction. But the Bible says the storms disorganized the ship until the captain of the ship looked for Jonah, found him down, and he was asleep, and he asked him, "You man, we are here struggling. We've prayed to all our gods, and you are here asleep. Instead of helping us, at least pray or to fight and draw water from the ship back to the ocean." And Jonah got that revelation when God was telling him that he had to leave that ship. Otherwise, they wouldn't continue going. So what these captains, the people on the ship, did was to throw him off. If they had not thrown Jonah off the ship, they were not continuing anywhere. There is a habit you're having in your body, in your mind, which is your Jonah. You will need to throw that habit off the ship. Newton Buteraba, House of Wealth. I can't thank enough, and the people who know me know I can talk for ages because I'm paid to speak. But I want to hand you over, Belinda.
Yes.
Let people go.
Yes.
Let people go and look at their strength.
Yes.
Let people go and conquer this world. Let people go and conquer this world. Let them look at their skill, talent, profession, business, friends, every resource they can use, and then they must pray for the person they believe in, help them. Over to you, Belinda. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Newton. You from the House of Wealth have enriched us this morning, and it's now, we are a little over our time, 13 minutes to 11, but I'm sure you appreciate the extension. Thank you very much, everyone who joined us on the call and everyone who has joined the Business Recovery Series, the whole of 2022. I am hoping that Enterprise Uganda will grant us the opportunity to be able to have these sessions next year as well. So there you have it. Newton has neatly and generously helped us to weave all the aspects that attain to crossing over. That's what I see, crossing over, looking back, a lot of reflection and a lot of wisdom and caution to help us reflect in the next 15 days. And of course, with the caution of not to spend all our money over Christmas. And then when we come to January, which I don't think anything big is going to happen, but we all agree that it's going to be like a new season, we can start strong. I personally feel very, very encouraged. Newton, I can't thank you enough. Everyone in the chat has thanked you. Thank you, Enterprise Uganda. And from me, Belinda Namtevi, I was here sitting in for Ronald Mokasa. Thank you so much for joining us. And until next year, which is a couple of weeks from now, I wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Bye-bye for now.